Hi everyone, I'm back indoors again today because the weather is absolutely dreadful. Anyway, so hello everybody. It may come as little to no surprise to some of you, all of you, that I am a bit of a chronic insomniac. It's usually a case of overthinking and spending 3 till whatever AM thinking about stuff, my mind bouncing from one thing to the other. In the bad old days, that would usually mean beating myself up, thinking about all of the things that I could have done, the opportunities that I had to do more, whatever that would mean in terms of transitioning. And of course, I don't have that excuse anymore. It's not something that I can do because I can't beat myself up over something that I'm actually doing right now. But worry not, there are still things which cause me to lay awake at 4 a.m. and last night was one such night. So what was it that bounced into my head at 4 a.m. and stayed there for a while? Well, I'll get to that in a moment, but first of all, I want to tell you a little story. Now, I discovered several months ago that I'm not the first trans woman to be transitioning in my company. And I thought that was brilliant because the last thing that I want to be is a pioneer. And I was delighted to learn that somebody else had already gone through this. And so possibly, I could learn from her experience and maybe we could form a little coalition to support each other or whatever that would mean. So it turns out that a friend of mine was working with her. And I reached out via my friend to see if she would be willing to connect. No pressure. There was no expectations on her part to say yes, but I was delighted to hear that she was happy to have a chat because she didn't want me to go through everything by myself the way that she did. So I thought that was a pretty good start. And we chatted a bit on Teams, which is how we communicate internally in my company. And then we chatted a bit on WhatsApp. We exchanged numbers and we agreed to have a video call that following weekend. So we did. And it was fine. It was your standard kind of initial getting to know you conversation, a little bit awkward here, a little bit oversharing there. But by and large, I thought that it went fine. And then I sent a couple of messages a few days later and nothing. And I haven't heard from her since. And I have no idea what happened, to be honest. It could have been many things. It could have been any things. But not knowing obviously caused my mind to unravel and to try to pull apart all of the different possibilities that could be the reasoning behind this. Now, one of the things that I did notice very quickly is that she's much younger than me. She's I'd say in her 20s, and she's several years down the transitional road. So she's much more advanced than I am. And to say she can pass is an understatement. She's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. And you would see her walking down the road and you would not think for a moment that she's transgender. So with these clues in mind, I tried to figure out what was it about that conversation that led her to ghost me. And I wondered, was there anything controversial that we talked about? And not really. I think that we stuck to fairly relatively safe topics. The only other thing that I could think of is she's super passing, quite young. I'm neither of those things. And so the thought struck me that maybe it's that. Maybe there's something about the fact that I'm still so early in this journey. I'm definitely not passing, that's for sure. Maybe that triggered something that she just couldn't deal with. And so that threw her, and she just can't communicate with me, let alone look at me. And that thought really stung. I have to be honest. It wasn't a pleasant thought. But it was where I basically concluded. And on the one hand, I'm kind of grateful that the relationship, such as it was, died there early on. It felt like she had a lot of things that she needed to work through. And I'm not in a position to support somebody in that sense. You know, we live quite far away from each other in very different time zones. So if she was also looking for some kind of support, maybe she just felt she couldn't get that from me, which is fair. And by the way, I bear her absolutely no ill will. I don't hold any of it against her, to be honest. I mean, I don't think she's a bad person. I don't think that she did any of these things intentionally. I don't think she led me on, or whatever that means. It's just a question of maybe we were just incompatible. But my mind went to this. My mind went to, I'm just not pretty, you know? And I get told this on my channel quite frequently, that I don't try hard enough. I need to put in more effort. I need to do more. And that's really hard to hear, because over these last 12 months, I've done a lot. I've done loads. I've done more in these last 12 months than I have done in, I don't know, 5 or 6 years preceding, maybe longer than that. I do so much. And so for people to dunk on me and say, oh, you need to put in more effort, it really stings, especially when it allegedly comes from other trans people. You would hope, or I would hope, that they would be a little bit more understanding and mindful of the things that they say to another trans person. But, you know, that's how it is. So anyway, why am I talking about this? Why am I kind of like waffling on about these thoughts? Well, last night at 4 a.m., my mind came back to this, because that's what minds do at 4 a.m. It returns to things which were long in the past, potentially forgotten, but, you know, your brain loves to dig these things up and, you know, reveal these things to you once again. Look at this thing, Andy, don't you think this thing is quite horrible? Let's revisit this and let's kind of fixate on this in an unhealthy way. And so at 4 a.m. or 4:30 or 4:45 or whenever it was, I was coming to these sorts of conclusions. I was thinking, well, look at my channel. I'm exposing myself to the world. I'm putting my face out there. And I'm getting pushback, and I'm sure a lot of people are concluding the same as other people would do. Andy's not pretty, Andy's not beautiful. I compare myself to other trans women, and I absolutely am not. I'm under no illusions where I stand. And so I concluded, well, maybe what I should do is hide my face behind some kind of avatar, some kind of cartoon image, and then maybe my content will be a little bit more palatable to a wider audience. Maybe people will be more willing to give my channel a second chance. And so that's kind of where I landed at 5 a.m. or something like that, as I drifted off to sleep. Now, as I was sleeping, and this is true, by the way, absolutely true, and it's why I'm making this video right now, actually. While I was sleeping, I had a dream. And in this dream, I was at a party with my ex-wife and her family. Don't ask me why I was there. I have no idea why I was visiting my ex-wife's family. It was a Christmas kind of party, so we were all dressed fairly fancily. I was wearing a dress and black tights, and I had my nails painted like this. I'm very happy with my red nails at the moment. And I was kind of worried in my dream because I didn't know how I would be received by her family. I guess in reality, it doesn't matter because I don't see them ever. But in the dream, I was there and I was really worried because I didn't know how they would react. It would be the first time they'd seen me in this way. And her sister, I remember, was quite sympathetic to me, but I got a note from my ex-wife, and it was a little torn piece of paper, and on the note it said, "You're perfect the way you are." Well, actually, it said "you're prefect," because in my brain, apparently my ex-wife can't spell perfect properly. So it was a little note. It said, "You're perfect the way you are." And in my dream, I just absolutely bawled my eyes out. It was such a touching moment from my ex-wife, who in reality is quite unsympathetic to my transitioning. So the way that I interpreted this in my dream was that she was talking about my presentation, the fact that I was transgender and the way that I looked at that moment in that party. For her, this was perfect. I mean, by the way, this is absolutely a dream. That would never happen in reality. There's no way any of those things would happen. But I woke up feeling a little bit more positive about things. It's funny how your subconscious can work. It feels like maybe I was searching for a little bit of validation internally, and boom, there it arrived in a dream from my ex-wife, which is a very odd place for it to come from, but there you go. Maybe I see the worst of my commenters as my ex-wife, in a way, subconsciously. Anyway, whatever, I'm babbling. So, where am I going with all of this? Well, first of all, do I actually believe I'm perfect? Well, no, absolutely not. I've already talked about why I arrived at this point in the first place. I'm under no illusions. I've got a lot of work to do, and I'm trying to put that in. You know, I go to laser therapy. I had my last laser appointment last Friday. I've got 5 more in my little carnet remaining, so I've got plenty of those to do. I want to get my ears pierced. I've got to up my makeup game. I have so many things. I have to work on my voice. It's all effort, and it takes time. But what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to go and do that thing that at 5 a.m. I thought that I might do and hide myself behind some kind of image. And why is that? Because I spent 43 years hiding behind some kind of mask, and I owe it to myself and to whoever of you find a bit of validation in this to not hide myself. This is who I am, and I'm sorry if for some of you that's not good enough. That's on you. That's not on me. And I know that it does expose myself to negative comments. It does expose myself to mockery, to criticism. Maybe some people somewhere are taking my image and using it as a way to mock trans people in general. Haha, look at this person thinking that they're a woman. Look at the state of them. Blah. But that speaks more to them and their lack of morals than me and my sense of who I am. And I just want to end on one last thing, one kind of positive note. Now, last night, one of the reasons why I didn't sleep particularly well is because I spent the night at Carolina's parents' place. And sometimes when you see yourself in a different space, in a different mirror, it makes you look at yourself in a slightly different way. And so I saw myself in the bathroom mirror there, and it's a slightly different lighting, slightly larger mirror. So I saw more of myself than I'm used to. And there was something about the way that I was coming together last night. My hair, my face, my body, my posture. I could see something there. Much like how when you're driving to the beach and you see the sea off in the distance and it conjures up the taste of salt and the sound of waves and screeching seagulls. You're not there, but you can almost feel yourself being there. And that's how I felt yesterday. There was something about the way I was in that mirror. I don't know. I mean, maybe you can compare myself here in this space today with the videos that I made it feels like forever ago in, I think, May when I started these. Are there any differences? I don't know, but I feel different. I feel more positive about myself. I know that so many trans people find this early stage of transitioning so difficult, and I try to be quite mindful of that. I know that I was never going to just pop into gorgeous, glamorous existence. I knew it was going to take effort. I knew it was going to take work. I suppose certainly do overanalyze and try to look at all of the features that we need to change and try to find some things which have improved somewhere. Maybe the shape of my jaw. Maybe there's a little new bald patch of facial hair which has gone missing because of laser therapy. Maybe my voice feels and sounds different just a little bit. Each day it's incremental, it's tiny, it's small, but over time maybe it's more visible. And it's funny because some people might turn around and say, well, what did you expect? You bought this on yourself for doing this. Maybe now you'll realize your mistake. And they don't really understand. Even all this doubt, even all this needing to forgive myself, because it is hard to forgive myself for when I slip up. And that's something that I had to learn. All of these things, it's not super positive, but that's life, right? It's not always roses and rainbows. Sometimes you have to deal with things rather than to enjoy them. But make no mistake, I'd take 40 more years of this than 40 more years of how my life used to be. I'm kind of sometimes a little bit, I don't know, it's not sad. Maybe it's impatience. Maybe I'm impatient for something that I can't wait to happen. I don't know. It's an odd feeling. It's hard to describe. It's not entirely positive, but it's not as negative as things used to be. And for everybody who comes to my comment section and demands that I make more of an effort or put in more time or whatever, why don't you take a look at yourselves and ask yourself, what is it exactly about my appearance that you find so objectionable? What is it that you want me to change, and why do you want me to change so much? Is it something about my face, about the way that I carry myself, that upsets you and makes you feel uncomfortable? And is that really down to me? Is it down to my lack of effort? Is it down to something that I'm doing or not? Or is it something that's being triggered within you? I wonder if you have enough self-honesty to answer that question appropriately and adequately. I don't know. All I can say is today I am so much more happy and comfortable and satisfied with the way that I look than I was 12 months ago. And that's good. And I know that in 12 months' time I will be happier still, because I am making progress and I am making improvements regardless of how slowly those things are happening. You don't see me every day and you don't see the changes that have been happening, and I guess that's good because you're not a friend of mine. I don't know you, I don't see you, you're just internet people, as I am an internet person to you. So I don't know, why don't you just lay off some people sometimes and not be too judgy on their appearance? That would be great. Thank you very much. All right then, so yeah, I hope that you will have a wonderful, wonderful day and a great weekend and a fantastic Christmas period, and I will see you all very soon, maybe outside if the weather improves. All the best. Bye-bye.